Welcome to Geek Rant. Hey everyone, welcome to Geek Rant. It's Greg here again on the channel with Sarah. Great to have you back, Sarah, on the channel. Haven't seen you in a little while.
Hi.
I know you're a bit of a Marvel fan, so today we're going to review the film which came out a few weeks ago, Deadpool and Wolverine. It was
Yes.
directed by Shawn Levy and obviously starring, I've forgotten the names. No, Hugh Jackman and
Ryan Reynolds
and Ryan Reynolds.
with a few cameos in there as well.
Yes, yes, and I'm sure we'll get onto that. But obviously, this is we're going to talk about the film. It's a spoilers review.
Yeah.
So you know, if you haven't seen it, which I'm surprised if you haven't seen it, um, come back later. But otherwise, yeah, let's get straight into it. I think you mentioned it there, didn't you? This is cameo city, isn't it? This
It
film.
is.
Um,
Absolutely.
so the plot's quite straightforward in some respects. Old Wade Wilson has he's a used car salesman at the beginning, isn't he? He went to see Happy Hogan to try and get in the Avengers, and they turned him
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
And that was
And that,
obviously
incidentally, that was just before the
that's right. Yes, right.
Thanos destroying everything. So that
Yeah,
was the timeline for that.
yeah.
So all of the Avengers
I
were
think
up
that's
trying to
one
save the
thing that
world.
I think that's one thing that I'm starting to struggle with now with the Marvel universe
The timeline.
is the timeline.
Yeah.
Now they've got the multiverse. It just nothing seems to make any sense anymore. You can
Yeah. Because on his desk they had Iron Man's. This is
yeah,
proof he had a heart.
his
And I
art
thought, oh, well, they
reactor.
sent that off when he died. They sent that off. But when I looked at the timeline, it was before Iron Man died. So Iron Man is
Right,
still alive at that point in the
right.
timeline.
Yeah, yeah. But the TVA then try and steal him, don't they,
Yeah.
from his universe to try and put him into what is the MCU,
Mm.
and he obviously doesn't want to lose all his friends and family, so
Yeah.
he decides, right, one he's told that the Wolverine is the like linchpin to the whole universe, which
Yeah. So his
again,
timeline is going to die, is going to decease to exist.
that's right.
So they want to take him and put him in a different timeline.
Yes.
But his timeline is going to cease to exist. And he does not accept that.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's told, well,
In usual
when
Deadpool
Wolverine
style.
died, your anchor
Yes.
for the timeline disappeared. So he has
Yeah.
to go and find another anchor in
Yeah.
Wolverine, which is hilarious because he then sees all these different Wolverines.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the funniest bits of the film, I
Yeah,
thought.
definitely.
There's some really good little and a lot of it is obviously sort of referring back to a lot of classic comic book
Yeah,
scenarios, isn't there? There's one
lots
bit
of
where you
Easter eggs.
see like a smaller Wolverine. That's obviously the sort of the height he should probably have been, in the
Yeah.
films. Um, Not the sort of
Obviously, you
huge.
see Henry Cavill,
Yeah,
and there's a little dig for, him being kicked out being Superman.
exactly, exactly. And I think for me, those are the best bits of this film.
Yeah.
It's weird because I don't see it as like a proper film in some respects. It's
Yeah,
almost
I don't think it's not Deadpool 3. It's
no.
completely standalone. You don't need to watch the first two movies to watch this
Yes.
movie. And this is him entering the MCU at MCU.
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 Yeah.
I always get that the wrong way around, even
That's
though I'm
all
a
right.
massive Marvel fan. And when I've seen him have interviews, he's talked about the fact that this is kind of like the theme of the film is saying goodbye. So saying goodbye to Fox.
Yeah.
So when you see Henry Cavill and they're kind of, he's no longer Superman. There's a little dig at them. So there's all these
Yeah.
little elements that run.
Yeah,
through
he
the
was
movie.
he was quite badly treated, wasn't he? Because he was told
I mean,
he was told he was coming back as Superman, didn't he? And then
oh,
suddenly they employed James Gunn and he
and,
ditched him, didn't he? So
and they told him to release that
yeah,
image on his
yeah,
social media, and then about 3 weeks later, he had to
yeah.
retract it. And I just felt, he's got so much, I really thought he was an excellent Superman. So I was really disappointed when they did that.
I
I'm
thought
not
he was a
sure
really good
how
Superman, but just maybe
yeah,
not had the right films. You know,
I'm
that
not sure how I feel about the new Superman either. I know we're not talking about that here,
no.
but just on a side note, because
Yeah,
Henry Cavill's in the movie, I recently watched a film called Twisters, and
Yes.
the new Superman's in it, and he plays a bit of an arsehole character.
Oh no.
And I didn't
Oh.
like him. And
Oh,
so it
no.
made me feel negatively towards this
Yeah.
guy who's supposed to be becoming our most revered superhero in the world. So I think that was a little bit unfortunate and bad timing on film releasing.
But it
aside
was brilliant in the Deadpool, wasn't it? Where he turns around and he's like, it's the cavalry, you know, and he's sort of, we won't treat you like they treated you over there. And but then he just whacks him, doesn't he?
But he does the Mission Impossible cuff movement. So that's brought back in. That's a little Easter egg. But before he turns around, he says, "Hang on a minute, this looks like the best Wolverine we've ever seen. This is got to be it." He's perfectly formed Wolverine, and then it's Henry Cavill. So that was hilarious.
Massive, didn't he? I thought he looked.
He is massive.
I didn't know if that was like slightly CGI'd or not, but he did look really massive, and I thought, bloody hell, you know.
He just didn't.
And the facial hair looked. I didn't know about the facial hair. I thought that looked a bit.
They dehydrate their bodies to make them look really muscular, don't they? Horrible.
Is that how they do it?
Yeah, that's what we do before we come on these shows. But anyway.
Yeah. But I thought that little montage bit was quite good. The little bit at the beginning where he digs up the old Logan body and
all that
fighting with that was a bit, you know. Again, it's touching on because the Logan film was so well received, wasn't it? And people sort of have good feelings of that, and that was like a perfect ending for Wolverine. So I think they tried to tackle it in this one by not bringing that Logan back. It was bringing a different Wolverine. So to save his universe, he goes around, doesn't he, trying to find different Wolverines or Ace. You know, then he comes across one who's like supposed to be the worst Wolverine.
Who's obviously done something in the past and feeling bad about it.
I didn't. I could see why he felt bad about it, but it was kind of like, hang on, you went to the bar, had to have a few drinks, and the X-Men got attacked. It's not exactly your fault, you know. And I thought that was all a bit, but
bit of a weak moment.
But to me, it was good that they had Hugh Jackman in there. I felt he actually really helped to carry this film. He had they gave him that backstory, didn't they? And he had a couple of moments where he got to do a little bit more of a sentimental thing. You saw the X-23 character again, and he sort of had a good sort of sentimental moment with her, and she kind of said, this is the life of being a Wolverine.
I felt like it could have been a bit more. But did he not know who she was? That because he was a variant.
That's true. He probably wouldn't know who it was. Yeah.
That's the point, isn't it? Because I think if it had been Logan from the film, there would have been a more immediate reaction to them seeing each other.
Yeah, of course.
In that scene at the beginning when he digs him up and you think, oh my God, he's going to dig him up and he's going to be alive in there. And then you obviously realise that's not what happens. But I like the fact that he used his bones, his metal. Yeah. What's the metal?
Adamantium.
Adamantium.
Yeah.
And he used that. He said, I'm not going to use any of my weapons to kill you.
Yeah.
So he uses the adamantium bones and slaughters all these people. And I mean, Ryan Reynolds I think he's hilarious. I think he's brilliant at Deadpool. And he always brings such a brilliant humour to it all. He's so tongue
He
in
does,
cheek,
he
and
does, but
he doesn't take himself seriously. But
no, no, but that's the character, isn't it? He's
yeah,
he's
yeah,
he's he's breaking the fourth wall all the time. He's making fun. So some of the jokes I sort of fell a little bit flat, but then there were some others that
yeah,
were really good. And the
yeah,
ones that I really laughed at were actually the ones where he was taking the piss out of the MCU or he was taking the piss out of
yeah,
Fox, you know.
yeah.
There's a bit where he's talking to the blind owl about cocaine. He said, we can't do cocaine in this one. Kevin Feige says we can't do it, you know, and they know all the lingo, they know all the different
Yeah,
names, you know, and that was
yeah,
quite funny. There's some good bits
yeah,
like that where they're really sort of
yeah.
ripping the piss out of and when he
He
gets to
also
the
tributes a
sorry,
lot to his wife. He does a lot
yes,
of tributes to his wife throughout the film, which
yeah,
I
yeah,
quite like.
yeah, yeah.
I never really knew. I'd never really seen any Blake Lively in anything until this year, when my daughter, who
Oh, that's
is nearly a
interesting.
teenager,
Yeah.
has been watching Gossip Girl. So I've
Oh,
been seeing a bit of who Blake Lively is, and
right.
actually, I really like her, and she's in a film this year as well. But he,
Yes.
like, all the music that he selected for the film were like her favorite
Yeah, yeah.
bands when she was younger and stuff.
Oh, I see. I see.
So there's a
Hence
link there.
the dance sequence at the beginning
Yeah,
where he's doing all the
yeah,
bye
Backstreet
bye
Boys.
bye.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
Avril Lavigne and things like that.
Right,
There's quite a
right.
lot of
Well, I
reference, and
mean,
he's
the famous one was the Like a Prayer as well, wasn't it? At the end, where
yes,
the Madonna. She doesn't normally
yeah,
allow these sorts of bits of music
no,
to be used. I think they had to go and ask her
no,
specifically,
yeah,
in person, can they use it? And then it's a great song, so I don't
it
blame them
is.
for doing that.
I thought it was brilliant the way they kind of tied in the whole car thing, where he's a second-hand car salesman. He hates
Yeah,
the Honda,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's the car they end up
They're having a
having to
massive fight
rely
in.
on in the Rift. And I thought to myself when this happened, I thought they're going to end up realizing that this car's really reliable
Yeah,
because it's going to take them to the ends of the earth and
yeah.
back, and it'll still work, and it did. But yeah,
Yeah, that's not any particular reason why that car was in it, was there? That was just a car that
I
they
don't.
chose
There
for
may
this
be,
film.
but we just don't know what it is. I'm sure
Maybe
there's
an
a
in
reason
joke
for
with
everything.
them.
But
But
yeah,
I think obviously the main thing from this film that everybody's talking about is all the different cameos.
yeah,
And it kind of felt a little bit like they've taken all the slightly minor characters or the reject
yeah,
characters and tried to give them a little bit of and suddenly you were feeling a little bit more positive about what were like Electra, her
yeah,
film wasn't particularly great,
yeah,
and not particularly well loved, and suddenly you're like going, oh, it's Electra, oh wow,
yeah,
and feeling a
yeah,
bit excited about seeing these dud
yeah.
characters.
Although
Um,
obviously Blade was pretty in our
yeah,
era
yeah,
was pretty
that was
epic.
definitely my favorite bit. Just
Yeah,
just seeing Wesley Snipes, but I mean, he did look old, didn't he? Bless him. And
I thought he looked amazing. I think anyone over the age of 40 was like, "What?"
yeah,
when he
yeah,
came on scene. It was like,
yeah.
"Yeah, Blade." But
Yeah,
he's
I mean,
brilliant.
he looked nothing like when he was in the original Blade. I mean, he was hardcore in the original Blade,
Yeah,
wasn't he? That was
yeah,
great. But
yeah.
yes, that was really good to see him in it. But this is for me where I sort of start to think this isn't a proper film. Do you know what I mean?
There's no, yeah.
This is just a tribute thing. It's
I get the
it,
impression they're closing down the TVA and the
yes,
multiverse elements
yes,
through this movie.
that's what I'm hoping. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that with the time rifter thing being destroyed
yeah,
and the TVA being put into turmoil and disarray, I feel
yeah,
like that gives them a reason to close that down and say we can't do that anymore because it's not work.
yes.
It's not well, it's not working from a film perspective, but it's not
No.
working within the world of Marvel because people are abusing it.
No, I know, and I
I
think
think they've realised it's wrong.
yeah, you lose the jeopardy out of
Yeah,
certain scenarios because they just seem to, I always thought that with just even like Endgame, they had the time travel thing, and I know it's not the multiverse, but it's that principle. They Gamora got sacrificed, didn't she? And then
yeah.
suddenly she was back in the next film.
Not her
And
though. It's a different
I
version.
know, I know, but it's
I
still,
think that's quite important because obviously she doesn't get back with with.
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
And
But
she's actually really horrible to him, and there isn't
yeah,
any.
but I just you just get this feeling of no one can die anymore, because they
No,
could just pull another version of themselves
yeah,
back from the multiverse.
yeah,
It gets too confusing. I think it's buggered up all the timelines. I think you said this before. The thing that worked really well with the original sort of 3 or 4 phases was they all stitched together, weren't they? That all the
yeah.
timelines and everything, all the stories were coming together into this Infinity War battle,
Mm,
and that
mm.
really that was brilliant, wasn't it? Because it
Yeah, it was
kept
brilliant.
you thinking, oh, how's that going to link to this, and how's that
Yeah, and
and
it made you feel like they had a plan.
exactly. And now there is like no
It's like they
plan,
have
is
no
there?
idea what's going on, even though I'm a massive Marvel fan, so I will never say anything bad. I mean, I can agree that some of the movies aren't as good as I would want them to be,
Yeah.
but I'm a true Marvel fan, so I can't ever suggest. And to be fair, though, I didn't watch all of Miss Marvel movie.
No,
I didn't
no.
finish watching that. That's the first time I've ever not been able to finish watching a
The
Marvel movie.
Marvels, the
The
Marvels, yeah.
Marvels, yeah,
Yeah. There was
and the
some,
series.
yeah, I exactly. Some of it's been hard work, isn't it, to get
Yeah, to be
through?
honest, my heart broke a little bit when we were watching when Loki the series came out,
Yeah,
and then they completely devalued the stones,
yeah,
and they were just in a drawer.
yes, yeah. That was
That in that
stupid.
moment, I was like, "You've just destroyed everything that's
Yeah,
happened before this,
exactly.
and devalued it." And I've
Yeah,
really cherished that first set of films, that first
yeah.
all the way to Infinity Wars. I mean, there are some films I've enjoyed, but anyway, going back to Deadpool.
Yes,
I think that the two of them together are amazing. I think they've got
yes,
such great
yes.
chemistry.
Yeah,
So I was really
absolutely.
excited. I'm a massive Wolverine fan. I'm a massive Deadpool fan.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
having them together was for me like incredible. I knew it wasn't going to be a follow on from the previous films and that it would be something standalone. And
yeah,
as you say, it didn't feel like it was an actual film. It felt like it was a tribute to many things.
yeah. It was
Um,
redeeming a lot of characters, wasn't it?
yeah,
There was some fun, there were some good moments. I liked the sort of Chris Evans thing,
yeah,
that they made a joke. He's going, right, he's got to say the line, Avengers, and he's like, flame
yeah.
on. And
I thought it was funny when Ryan Reynolds said that monologue and it got him killed, and then
yes,
he said, "Well, he did it himself because in the car," and then
yeah,
it shows a flashback, and he
yeah,
said it. That was hilarious. I
yeah.
thought that
But
was
you got Hugh Jackman going, he
brilliant,
didn't say that. What?
and so that was really funny. I like
Yeah,
that.
that was funny.
What do you think of
Yeah.
the baddie?
The baddie I thought was okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Kind of do you say a pointless character? I don't know. I like I like this idea that she has to put a hand in your head to read your mind and all
yeah,
that sort of stuff. I thought that was quite a bit creepy, but a
it
good
was.
idea, a slight
Yeah,
change. Um Often they can just read your mind and all that sort of thing, but that's a good slight variant on it for my liking.
mm,
I was a bit confused about what her overall powers were really, because it was a bit like she seemed to one minute she stripped off the whole skin of Johnny Storm,
yeah,
and then another minute they're all fighting. She could have just stripped off their skins and killed
yeah.
both.
There was
But
a
then I
very
suppose
good
they
consistency.
regenerate. Um, so
Yeah,
I and then she very much let them go, and it kind of lost its little bit away. I thought the whole thing about her wanting to destroy all the universes
and just
to
have those
stay in the void was a
places.
bit,
Yeah,
yeah. So it was okay. I mean, she was okay. She was playing it really British, wasn't she? I mean,
yeah,
she was. I know she's British, but I think she
yeah.
was putting on the extra British accent, for the
She was putting
Americans.
on her Lady Diana voice.
Yes, yeah, it really was, wasn't she? It was funny.
Yeah,
But for me, yeah, it was just seeing all these old characters, but some of them I wasn't too fussed about. Pyro didn't really, I wasn't that
yeah,
fussed about seeing him. Sabretooth. wasn't too worried about that.
Gambit. I
I
thought
thought the
Channing Tatum
Gambit
was
thing was,
hilarious.
yeah, I thought the Channing Tatum thing was hilarious because it was just,
Like,
yeah, it was just,
the way he did that was so brilliant.
it was,
Like,
yeah,
honestly.
it was just ridiculous. It was so ridiculous that it was good, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It was
but the way
like,
he did it, the way that he
yeah,
delivered those lines was
yeah,
spot on. I thought he was excellent, and I really enjoyed that he was in
yeah.
it.
Moving forward, do you see?
No,
I don't see him as being a Gambit. Do you know what I mean? He
no,
just
I don't
doesn't.
see there being a Gambit. I don't
No.
want there to be a Gambit.
Oh, that's interesting. Why'd you say that?
I don't know. Because I can't. It's funny for a scene that he can't understand what he's saying, but for
Yeah.
a whole movie, he's bloody annoying. And I think it was the right person receiving the line of Ryan Reynolds because he can turn anything into funny.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
made it. He's like, say that in English or whatever he said. And, it was hilarious because of him delivering the response.
Yeah, he was saying, was your dialect coach the Minions?
Yeah, it's been
There were
to
a couple
be,
of good
to be
bits
fair,
like
it's been a few weeks since I watched the film.
yeah, yeah.
And I have to say, I need to watch it at least a couple more times to get every detail.
I know.
There's so many Easter eggs in there.
It comes so quick and fast, doesn't it? As well,
Yeah.
he just reels out all the jokes. He reels out all the things. It's I wondered about I think that's a question I sometimes ask myself is do I want to see this again? And I sort of think I do, but more because of that reason, just trying to spot the Easter eggs and that sort of thing, rather than I thought this was the most amazing film. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I watched certain Marvel films again because I thought that was a great film and it was really, the action was great. I got a little bit bored at times when they just kept fighting all the time, and they both know that they both regenerate. So it's kind of like, would they just not get to a point of thinking, oh, for God's sake, there's no point in me even attacking him because he just regenerates,
I think Wolverine was just really angry, wasn't he, when he ended up in the void, the void?
Yes.
And that fight there next to the Fox sign.
Yes.
It was hilarious.
Yeah, I mean that made me giggle with the Fox sign
But apparently the Fox sign was angled so that the X was still showing, because whenever you watched an X-Men film, the Fox sign would disappear and the X would stay illuminated.
I see.
So the X was there in that whole scene. Yeah. And when Deadpool landed in the void, next to him was a comic for Doom, Doctor Doom, to reference the fact that they were bringing him back. So there's lots of little things that you can spot if you look closely.
Yes.
And obviously in the void there were loads of, like, it was like a graveyard, wasn't it? There were lots of buildings and ships and vehicles from all the different films in there.
Yeah. So, exactly. I think this is
why you need to watch it a second time. I wouldn't like, I'd watch Infinity War. I've watched that film probably 8 times.
Yeah.
That's like my go-to comfort film.
Infinity War is the best.
What to watch? I'm going to watch that because it's so brilliant.
It is. It's one of the best, isn't it?
It's one of the best movies in the whole Marvel universe.
Definitely.
But I don't feel that way about this film.
No.
But I do want to watch it again because I want to see it all, and I want to know. In interviews with Ryan Reynolds, he says, "Oh no, that's it. I'm putting Deadpool down because his wife would divorce him." But surely he's going to have some cameos in some movies, because they can't add him to the MCU and then not have him in other movies.
I think the fact that this has gone over $1 billion in sales, there will be another Deadpool film.
They might put him into some of the Avengers movies or something.
Yeah,
and he won't be the sole person, because that's the thing.
He's going to be like Robert Downey Jr. He's going to be like Robert Downey Jr. It's going to be about him earning 100 million out of these things. I
think he really does it though because he loves doing it. I don't think he just does it for the money. They're rich enough as it is.
I'm sure, but for some reason these people seem to need to have
aviation gin and sold that for like hundreds of millions. He sold a mobile phone company for hundreds of millions.
Yeah, I know. Loads of money. I know he's got loads of money, but for some reason it seems to just be the temptation to come back to do these things. And I think also it's a bit of ego. I think it's a bit of ego. When you've been successful with something, it's very hard, I think, to stop. And I think if someone's because it was 6 years between Deadpool 2 and this one.
Yeah.
You know, maybe 6 years time. Because the good thing about his outfit, he wears a whole bodysuit, so you don't actually see his
Yeah.
face. You don't really see him. You could
No,
almost have
and
someone else play it, and he could
not
just
that
voice it
old.
over.
He's not that old, is he? Either.
Early 40s, would you say?
Maybe slight. I mean, yeah, probably
Hmm.
42-ish.
Yeah.
And obviously, if Hugh Jackman can still do it at his age, then
Well, I mean, that was one
Ryan,
of the jokes in it, wasn't it? You're going to be doing
yeah,
this till you're 90, you know.
yeah. I think Hugh Jackman was incredible in this movie. I
Yeah,
just think,
I wonder.
and
I was actually.
they even
Sorry.
digged his divorce.
Yeah, I
Ryan Reynolds
know.
even got one in about his
I
divorce,
know. I
and I
know. I
thought that
was
was a
like,
bit.
that was close to the
Oh,
mark, but
yeah,
yeah,
because in my mind, I do wonder if his wife got fed up with him doing Wolverine,
maybe.
and it coincided with him accepting this role.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they also
Because it's all
managed.
encompassing, isn't it? He
Yeah.
spent 2 years doing this, and that
Yeah.
takes him away from his life.
Yeah.
So being an actor, it's easy to kind of underestimate what undertaking it must be
Especially
for these.
especially when like Ryan Reynolds is now producer, isn't he? He's doing the
Yeah,
writing. It must
I
be all
mean,
consuming. Yeah.
he jokes about his wife wanting to divorce him if he does another Deadpool, but ultimately he spent the last 6 years
Yeah.
preparing for this movie, hasn't he?
He
And
has.
it will
Yeah.
have, and they've got 4 kids. So
Yeah, but like you said, they're mega rich, so they have people
yeah,
who do that sort of stuff for them.
no, they have got people that help them, but they are still have 4 kids. They're very hands on with their kids.
I'm sure they
I
are.
think they're like a real
They've
like
done a
they're the
good
future.
publicity stunt on you, haven't they?
No. But no,
Most
listen,
of the time they're
honestly,
just wasted. Most of the time they're
I
just sitting
really
in their
respect.
big mansions wasted and, off their head on drugs and, the kids are running
No,
around.
don't say that. No, they don't. No, they
No,
don't.
clearly that was a joke, Ryan Reynolds' legal team.
Well, don't worry, I'll stick up for him.
I
But
also
no,
liked it. I also liked it that there was a Welsh Deadpool in there. I don't know if you saw the Deadpool at the
yeah,
end. There was a Welsh
yeah.
Deadpool because he owns Wrexham Football Club.
It was confirmed that the female Deadpool was Blake Lively,
Yes, yeah, but
so
they
his
didn't.
wife, and the two little ones were two of his kids.
No.
Yeah,
Oh
because
dear.
so I follow all this stuff afterwards, and then they start releasing like information of like sets,
Yeah,
like during filming, and he's got this big coat over his Deadpool outfit, and he's
yeah.
telling one of the children that's dressed as a Deadpool, "You need to do this, or you need to focus on this." And he's like, "This
Oh
is
my
what happens when
God.
you have your kids as a child Deadpool." And it's a really good image, actually. It's why you should look it up. It's funny, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end with all the Deadpools and stuff.
Yes,
Yeah, it got a bit messy in the end,
it
didn't
did.
it?
It did. It got a
The
bit
only best,
got a bit carried away.
yeah, the best bit about that element of the film was Hugh Jackman with his top off.
Well, do you know what? One
I
other.
like that bit.
Yes, I mean that was. I don't know if that was actually real. If I'm honest
Oh,
with
of
you,
course it
I thought that
was.
was all a bit
It
CGI'd.
really destroyed the. I
Maybe
mean,
it
his
is.
body's real.
Maybe no, I know his body's real, but I wondered if they CGI'd it up a bit because I heard that he'd had sort of sleeves on to do his arms,
Oh,
But
I don't know. I think he's pretty fit.
yes, I'm sure he is. But one of the things that I really liked was when he put the mask on and he wore the mask, and I actually
Mm.
thought he looked mega cool like
It's
that.
so cool.
It
I
did look
loved that.
really good, didn't it?
It was
It
so,
kind of
so good.
I was a bit like, oh my God, I was a bit blown away by that. Do you know what I mean? How good that bit
Yeah,
was. So that
yeah,
was nice to see.
that was.
So I
And then
mean,
I can't really. What happens at the end? Like, I'm trying to remember now because it's been about. I watched it the day it came out.
um, he kind of goes back to his family and everything, doesn't he?
Oh
At the
yeah. Oh,
end,
that
they
was
all
the
go
other
back to
thing
the
I didn't.
party, and it's a bit sort of
Yeah, that was
uncertain what's going to follow on from it, isn't it? Really?
the one thing that I didn't like that him and his partner, I've forgotten her name, Vanessa, was it?
Yeah, Vanessa.
Have separated.
I know. That was
Their
really
love was
weird.
true.
Yeah, in the second one, there was like that was the whole point of the second one, wasn't it? For him to go back
Yeah,
and try and save her,
yeah,
who'd been shot, and then
they're,
suddenly they
yeah,
were just
they're,
like friends, awkward friends. That,
that was
yeah,
bollocks.
it was a bit naff, wasn't it? Didn't seem to
Yeah.
work, did it? But
When the baddie puts her hand into Deadpool's head and
yeah,
looks at how they broke up,
yeah,
supposedly she changes what Vanessa says in that moment,
ah,
and it triggers him.
yeah, yeah,
And she says, "Oh, you were never good enough," or something like that.
yeah. That's
And
right.
so then
That's
he's
right.
affected by that for the rest of the film.
Yes.
And so when he gets home, he tries to rekindle it, doesn't he? But I can't believe that they would have ever broken up. Their love, the first two movies, it was based on
I
their love.
know, I know. They had this weird love, didn't they? They could both just
They
do
had,
whatever crazy shit, and they seemed to like it, didn't they?
yeah, and his whole, and when she died, he tried to kill himself.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
And I know that it's more her than him is the reason they're broken up, but she
Hmm.
loved him.
Yeah.
So I think that was right. I think that was one of the flaws of the movie.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, where does it go from here? I mean, obviously we've now got Robert Downey Jr. coming back, so I suppose they're
Yeah,
gearing up for a few films to come into that process, which,
yeah,
like you said earlier, they didn't have a plan. Now, I think they might actually be thinking, let's have a little bit of a plan now for the next few
yeah.
films. Obviously, there's the Captain America film coming out, which I'm not sure many people are that excited about. Thunderbolts. I don't know if you've seen anything on that. Again, that's
Yeah,
that's kind of like
isn't that
all the B characters coming together to form a team.
it's got
Um,
Florence Pugh.
yeah, yeah, it
She's a
has.
bloody excellent actress.
Yeah, she
She's such
is.
an
She is.
excellent
Yeah, yeah. I'm on the fence with her. I think she's all right.
actress.
I don't think she's that outstanding, but
She is. You should watch her in Little Women. She's so good. She's
Okay.
such an excellent. She's going to
Okay.
be one of the
Well,
biggest
she already is,
stars.
isn't she? She's already
Yeah, but
a big
like,
star. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, she's becoming that, isn't she?
yeah. I don't know how I feel about Robbie Downey Jr. coming back. I mean, he was my favourite character,
Yes. Yeah.
Iron Man by
Yeah.
far,
Yeah. And the
and
end game
the
bit, where
yeah,
that was a good
Iron Man.
sacrifice. I just hope they don't. It's fine if he's a completely different character in some respects,
Yeah,
but I don't want it to be that it's somehow a multiverse thing that's something to do with Iron Man or any of that sort of shit.
yeah,
If they do that, that'll be me. Like, I'm not watching these shit anymore. Do you know what I mean? And I don't want it to just be that Bobby
yeah.
Downey Jr. is here for a massive paycheck, and it's just going to be any old tosh. They've got to put a bit of
I
effort
don't think.
into these things.
I think that his heart was in Iron Man, and it
Oh,
probably,
definitely.
and he loved that role, and he made the Marvel universe what it was, created
Yes.
because as you know, the Iron Man being the first Marvel movie that they made.
Yes.
Um, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how they transition him from that role into this role.
Yeah.
And I hope he's just a completely different person and
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
not. And it's not a case of Spider-Man sees him and goes, "Oh my God, he looks like Iron Man."
I know exactly. All that sort of
And
stuff would be really
yeah,
bad, wouldn't it? You can do it in Deadpool.
yeah,
You can do it in Deadpool because that's just a piss take, isn't it? But you can't do
yeah.
something like that in one of these other films. That will just
No,
be they've gone too far.
yeah. So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting. We
Yeah.
won't hold our breath.
And do you think Deadpool will turn up again?
Yeah, I think so. I think he has
Yeah.
to. How can
Yeah.
they have this? This is an entrance into the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is his step in, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
him saying, "Hi, I'm at Disney now.
Yeah. But
I'm the
maybe, like you
Messiah."
say, but it won't be a Deadpool movie. Maybe he will be part of the Avengers or part
Yeah,
of something like that,
yeah.
where
I
it's
think,
a little bit less fully involved.
yeah, where he's not producing, directing. Well, he's not directing it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm sure he
Yeah.
helped direct it.
Yeah.
And he's come up with a lot of it, hasn't he? This
Yes.
whole movie has been a huge undertaking for him. But I think if
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
was in an Avengers movie, then I think he could still give us Deadpool, but
Yes.
not have to be so invested in it.
Yeah. 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 No,
You
that's
know,
good.
a few months worth of work rather than a few years worth of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think people should go and see it in the cinema. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't have to. I think you can still get a lot of the jokes and things watching it off a, home video or whatever. But yeah, I think overall it was good fun. Some good
And
laughs.
yeah, I think the fight
Not serious.
scenes and the action,
Yeah.
and like when they go into the waste, into the void, and Ant-Man's
Yes.
skeleton there, and
Yeah. Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds says, "Oh, he's finally aged."
Yeah.
Just little things like that. I think you get that sort of
Yeah.
on a big screen. You kind of see all the what they're trying to achieve. So I definitely go and see it at the cinema if you haven't already.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks very
Yeah.
much for joining us today.
No worries.
We've enjoyed talking about that, haven't we?
Yeah.
We obviously want people to subscribe and like the videos. That would be awesome. And we'll hopefully see you again soon.